Hi there. This is New York's Grand Central Terminal. There's a statue outside on 42nd and Park Avenue. See it? No, this isn't the invisible statue. You can see it, right? Here it is. I walked past it 10,000 times in my career and never saw the statue. And no, I'm not blind. This is me from the back of one of our books. The statue is 8.5 feet tall. His pedestal is 9 foot high. He's made of bronze. Should I call it a knit? So, who was he? A hint. Born in 1794. The great American rags to riches story. He ferried vegetables from Staten Island to Manhattan starting at age 11. His first boat was a periauger named Swiftsure. Competitors thought him a brute. He literally beat them bloody in fights. He was actually paid at times not to compete with them, but he was always honorable and shrewd. They nicknamed him Commodore because of his energy and drive. It was a joke early, but not when he built the world's largest ship line. You didn't make fun of him then. He made a little money, about $250 billion in today's dollars. $250 billion. He was 19 years old when he married Sophia, his first cousin. They had 13 children together and lived relatively modestly. The Gilded Age's great mansions was begun by their children. His grandson's house on 57th Street and 5th Avenue had 130 rooms. It was the biggest house ever built in Manhattan. Knocked it down in 1926 for Bergdorf Goodman, a department store. That's still there. Vanderbilt's granddaughter, Alice, lived there after her husband died. Just her and 37 servants. She is said to have changed clothes 7 times a day. Who knows? Alice and her husband had 7 Vanderbilt children. One founded the Whitney Museum. One was disinherited for marrying against his parents' wishes. It was a different world. One died on the Lusitania. Alice also owned and helped design their summer home in Newport, Rhode Island. 70 rooms, 5 floors, over 125,000 square feet. It's called the Breakers. It's virtually fireproof, steel beams. The boiler room is under the front lawn. The family still summers there. They get to live on the 3rd floor. You might remember Gloria Vanderbilt. She just passed. And you might know of her son, Anderson Cooper. The great room there is 50 by 50 by 50. Look at it. That is a great room. The dining room is 2,400 square feet of magnificence. Let's go back to the world the average American lived in. The Appalachian Mountains made it difficult to go inland from the East Coast. It's still true today. In 1803, James Hawley proposed a canal around its north end. He was in debtor's prison at the time. Can you imagine? They took 8 years to dig a 40-foot wide, 4-foot deep ditch, 363 miles long. It was nicknamed Clinton's Folly after the governor of New York. Some folly. It had 83 locks and went down 566 feet, 60 of them right at Lake Erie, where there were 5 locks in a row. Canals got it over creeks or streams. Here's one of its many. Canal on top, stream below. It was a high-speed highway, 3 miles an hour, 3 miles an hour. The canal transformed New York, heck, America. New York City quickly became the busiest port in the country. Later, railroads followed the route to take passengers and their freight away because, well, they went a little faster than canal boats. By the way, Atlanta was where a railroad was built to go under the Appalachians. What do canals have to do with Cornelius, Vanderbilt, and Grand Central Terminal? Well, Vanderbilt was 26 years old when the Erie Canal opened in 1820, and it made New York City's economy explode. Vanderbilt took advantage of the new shipping opportunities even as the famous marriage of the waters was happening. He hired Daniel Webster to win a landmark Supreme Court case, Gibbons versus Ogden. States don't control interstate commerce. So Cornelius could build a huge shipping empire. Here's a Hudson River steamboat of his. Later, Vanderbilt wanted an Atlantic Pacific shortcut, like, well, to get gold prospectors to California fast. He wanted a canal across Nicaragua. Great plan. Look at the giant lake. But, and there's always a but, a revolution showed up. The world had to wait 60 years before the Panama Canal opened in 1914. We've got 5 videos on that canal. By the way, in 1880, just as the French were beginning work on Panama, James Eads, an American engineer, proposed using railroad engines to pull ships right across a Mexican desert. You could see the route so clearly. It wasn't Scientific American. Unfortunately, Eads died and Congress dropped the idea. What do you expect? Back to Vanderbilt. He slowly moved into railroads. He sold his last ship in 1864. He bought the New York and Harlem. It was the only railroad into Manhattan. This is 4th Avenue between 100th and 116th Streets. Where's Manhattan? He wanted his youngest son, George Washington Vanderbilt, to take over for him. Sadly, the young man died during the Civil War. It's 1866 and Cornelius is 72 years old. He's tired. He's depressed. His competitors are after him. He's 30 years past the average life expectancy. But, and here's another but, he owns the only railroad bridge over the Hudson River, the only railroad bridge. So he closes the bridge to his competitors. Their passengers can walk across, just not their trains or freight. By the way, his bridge was a swing bridge like this, not a lift bridge like I just showed. It's a not so small engineering detail that doesn't matter now. What matters is that when the other railroads couldn't get to New York City, their stock prices crashed. And Vanderbilt bought them all and created the New York Central Railroad. Here's a map of it in 1918. Tracks, tunnels, bridges, viaducts, stations. It was a big system. One of its depots was south of Canal Street in Manhattan. It had a 150-foot long bronze pediment of his life. He stands up here. That's where the statue was originally. The New York Times said that the dismembered bodies of the men, women, and children his trains killed should have been included up there. Nice, wasn't it? There was also a train yard on 26th Street and 4th Avenue. Steam engines weren't allowed south of there, only horse-pulled cars. Later, steam engines couldn't go below 42nd Street, so 26th Street's yard became useless. They put Madison Square Garden there. So what is this building and where is it? Our next video will start with this, Grand Central Depot. It was built on 42nd and 4th. Part 2 has all the different buildings that were built on 42nd Street for Vanderbilt's railroads. Tell us what you think in the comments. Until the next one. Bye now. Thank you.